इन्फोएज के को-फाउंडर संजीव भिखचंदानी से हमारी सहयोगी नितारा राय ने एक्सक्लूसिव बातचीत की। उन्होंने कहा कि गुड गवर्नेंस वाले शेयरों में निवेश करें और सिर्फ आईपीओ के दौरान बड़ा मुनाफा कमाने के लालच में न रहें। आइए सुनते हैं खास बातचीत।
Be conservative. You don't have to maximize valuation at the time of the IPO. You've got to leave enough on the table for the incoming investors, while at the same time not shortchanging the current shareholders. It's a fine dividing line. It's a tightrope. It's a hard one to walk, but don't push the price to the limit.
And for retail investors, many of them have lost a lot of money.
Yes, they have, and that's unfortunate. And when retail investors lose money in an IPO, that's not good karma in India. And therefore, I would furthermore emphasize that be conservative in the pricing when you're going out public.
Is this a time to IPO?
Look, there's never a time to IPO, and there's always a time to IPO, right? So I remember when we went public, the Sensex was at 13,000, but headed north, right? And it took us 11 months to prepare for the IPO. In those 11 months, there were many ups and downs, but finally when we went public, it was 13,000 headed north. The market took the IPO well. As long as the market is kind of stable or is headed a bit north, you can IPO.
How does Sanjeev Bikhchandani identify future multi-baggers?
Well, we don't think that deeply about it. I mean, good management team pursuing a good idea, some customer traction, some natural traction in the market. App is getting downloads, app is getting engagement, website is getting traffic, and this is growing without spending money on marketing. Those are all good signs.
Mr. Bikhchandani, now there is a big problem that's plaguing the private markets, and this has been coming up. And there have been a couple of many examples. Even if you don't want to go into all of them, whether it's a Bharat Pay to Trell to Lido to whatever's happening now at Sequoia Capital, they put out a blog on corporate governance. As someone who's been around, a Padma Shri, who's looked up to, when you see what's happening around you, corporate governance in the private markets, how big a problem is it?
I'm hoping it's not very big. These are just a few bad apples. There are 40, 50, 60,000 startups out there. I think the vast majority are very good people doing good things, number one. Number two is even the examples that you named, look, nothing definite has come out yet, right? It's still under investigation. So I would hesitate to speculate on any individual case, but I do think corporate governance is important for everyone, including startups. It's never too early to be well governed.
But corporate governance in the private space would have to be self-regulated. First principles would have to be set out by the founder and would, like I said, be self-regulated.
Yes, I mean, I have said in my tweets and in the column I wrote that, look, it starts and often ends in the founders' heads. Because we have seen even public companies in the past 10, 15, 20 years where all sorts of things have come out. Even though they had independent directors, they had auditors, they had audit committees, they had SEBI supervision, they had quarterly filings, quarterly disclosures, everything. But they still enough things came out afterwards when the share prices tanked. So finally, if you have a determined founder who wants to somehow bypass all these checks and balances and do something that he's hell-bent on doing, he'll find a way to do it. So really, it starts with the founder's heads, what's inside there between the ears. And then all the other things kick in to tell the founder, okay, this is not how you do it, this is how you do it. Try and avoid this, and try and do it this way.
And is that part of the problem? Because, at least the reports that have been coming in, whether it is a bogus expenditure to, inflating of GMBs, it all seems to be in this crazy rush to chase valuations, which now don't seem real.
See, boom markets, right, frothy markets, tend to hide a whole bunch of things, right? Whether in the public space or the private space, right? It's only when the market actually heads south or there's volatility do these things come out, and that's sometimes these things happen.
You made some very pertinent points in those series of tweets. I like to go through them. One of them you said is good corporate governance will always command a valuation premium.
So that's what an investor was told us, because when we did a couple of things that they liked, which were unexpected, the investors called us up, and one of them did say that, listen, you are getting, in my view, a 25% premium for corporate governance, because in India there are very few companies of this caliber of governance, and that made us feel good.
And how did you, okay, let me put it this way. How did you lay down the first principles of corporate governance here at InfoEdge?
So I didn't lay down any principles, we just did it.
It was work in progress, rolling?
Yeah, constant work in progress. I think what is important is that the top 3 or 4 people thought alike on this matter. Right? Whether it was the then CFO Amrish Raghuvanshi or Hitesh or I, we all thought alike. There was no concept of taking shortcuts.
तो ये थे InfoEdge के को-फाउंडर 18 नाउ स्वदेश के साथ एक्सक्लूसिव बातचीत करते हुए। स्टॉक इस वक्त 2.5% ऊपर कारोबार कर रहा है।